What really happened with me 7 years ago was a really reset moment. I woke up, I had a little headache, but it was not actually a little headache. I really had a brain inflammation. Couldn't talk, I couldn't speak, I couldn't write anymore. The power of choice is in the fact that you cannot control anything in life. I had work experience for almost 10 years. And then when you have a reset moment, you have to rethink everything.
If I am a creative person, how I am going to build all the structure is like a cutting your freedom. So how do you think this structure and feels like a limitation to creative people?
They should see themselves also as a company. You have like your creative part in your business, but you also have to see the other side of your business really as a company. Creativity and making art will be the most important thing that you do, but don't forget to pay attention to the other part of what you need to do to be a thriving artist.
So please grab a cup of coffee or tea, get comfortable, and enjoy this episode. Welcome to the Brilliantly Branded podcast.
Sometimes we think that creativity and structure are completely opposite. And that are a very good opportunity to think that we are probably not going to be free, right? So we sometimes resist the planning, and to succeed, we must sacrifice our flow. But what if balance is not about choosing one or the other, but learning how they can live together? And my guest today is the founder of something that she called I Support Creatives. And she's a woman who helps artists, freelancers, and entrepreneurs find this clarity without losing their artistic spark that is part of what defined us. And I am included on that part of the world. So part of her story of life and her journey took an unexpected turn after facing life-changing health challenge. That was one of the things that make her realize her power of choice and resilience. So our conversation today will be focused in how that structure can set creativity free, what it means to build a life around curiosity, and how to turn the passion into purpose in our own terms. This is probably very promising. I just wanted to give a big welcome, Katrijn. Welcome to the Brilliantly Branded podcast. And I would love to start by hearing from you the moment that made you rethink what really matters in your work and life, and to introduce yourself and let us know who you are.
Yes, oh, great. Thank you for having me, Maria. So the start of the start. So a little bit of context. I grew up in a small town in Belgium. I studied in Ghent, and then I had several jobs in the cultural sector and in the private sector. And now I'm living in Antwerp. And what really happened with me 7 years ago was a really reset moment. I woke up, I had a little headache, but it was not actually a little headache. I really had a brain inflammation. Fast forward to that, I have now scar tissues in my right hemisphere of my brain, and which means that when I had the inflammation, I had to go to a rehabilitation center for almost 9 months because I couldn't talk, I couldn't speak, I couldn't write anymore. The power of choice is in the fact that you cannot control anything in life. It was a very, very frustrating period because, I have 2 diplomas. I had work experience for almost 10 years. And then when you have a reset moment, you have to rethink everything. And super difficult, but I'm also a very positive person. So I was rethinking and reorganizing my life in the fact that I was thinking and did a lot of introspection work as well. Who am I, what I'm able to do in the only few hours that I can work. And with a lot of experiments, a lot of writing, I started my own company, and I really chose to have a fulfillment life. In my corporate career, I think I did a lot of jobs that were not fully aligned with who I really was. But it's with everybody. You study, you start in a career, you are evolving and thinking what you really want to do. But in starting my company, yeah, I think it's the best choice I ever made. And entrepreneurship is not easy. I think everybody can acknowledge that. And it's, with a disability, it becomes extra challenging, but I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah, I can imagine. And thank you for sharing because this is part of something very personal and is our story of life that make us take some decisions and some path in life that we decide. And you decide now working with creatives, right? You are helping them to give their clarity, to give the structure. What makes you decide to work with those creatives and why did you choose this path?
They came into my path because, okay, I studied cultural social studies, so already had a lot of interest in a broadened spectrum of creativity and culture. So that was one fact. When in the rehabilitation center, I was indeed doing all these exercises myself, and I was talking to friends about how I wanted to maybe start my own company. And it was actually a good friend who told me, hey, I have a very good friend, a friend of a friend. He's a photographer and he is struggling in organizing his own exposition. And she said, like, yeah, maybe you should have a coffee with him and maybe you can help him. And that was really like aha moment, because this guy was in front of the table, and he was telling how difficult everything is for him to structure and plan things. And I was thinking, oh my, I'm so good in structure and planning, but in the fact that I can only work for a couple of hours, I didn't did the operational part for him. I said, like, maybe I can help you with the planning, and we see each other maybe next month, and let's see how everything will evolve. It's really a combination of people that find me. I found them in choosing these creative profiles. And the combination is with the fact that I'm very, very structured and planned, and I need to be very structured and planned in my own business because, like I said, I can only work for a couple of hours. So that's really my strength. And next to that, I'm also very empathic. So can really feel and see how I can push people in this step-by-step process in ordering to change their lives and to achieve their goals.
Yeah, it's building this human connection
Mm.
from another perspective, another angle. But what do you think structure and planning, that is two words that probably for some people are like, well, if I am a creative person, how I am going to build all the structure is like a cutting your freedom. So how do you think this structure and this planning feels like a limitation to creative people?
Mm. I can imagine that people think that, but yeah, I'm like the opposite. So I really, yeah, but you have to know with creativity, I think it's like extremely, and I understand that the creative process, it's extremely difficult to create something out of nothing. And you have to make decisions daily with one pencil that you use. It's a lot of decisions, and creatives often also work alone. So in this freedom of making choices and working alone, I think that freedom also can feel very paralyzing. And with a little bit of structure, it really gives you some headspace. And what I do with my clients is I really look at them as a person. So I ask a lot of questions. Of course, when are you most productive? So most people are productive in the morning. So instead of opening your laptop in the morning and get all this overwhelming information of what people want from you, you don't do that. You start your morning with a creative block, maybe for 1 or 2 hours, but it's such a refreshing idea of not being in service of other people, because mailing is being in service of other people, but start your day with something that really fulfills you. And I think with some really well-designed systems that are really in favor of you, I think that your life can be so much more better.
It's something like a refining the productivity based on who you are. How that philosophy working smarter, have you something put it in place to work specifically with
I didn't
them?
have it. Maybe it's a good idea to give it a name, and maybe have a pattern on it and maybe become very rich. No, but there's already a lot of books on working smarter. So you have Deep Work, you have Atomic Habits. I read all the books, and with all these little pieces, I do it also. I implement it in my own life, knowing the fact that I also I meditate every morning, I work out every morning, every day, and it really helps if you work that you sometimes can distract yourself from all the things that you need to do by clearing your mind. And in working smarter, I think there's a lot of good tools to work with it. So I work with Notion. I had a virtual assistant last year who really optimized all my processes. Amazing. I work with Google Calendar to put in all the tasks that I need to do for the day. I have a monthly meeting with myself to put on the goals. I have a yearly strategy. So yeah.
I am as well very curious, because if you are working just with this niche that is with creative people, I think that the way that we understand the information, because I'm very visual, for example, so I love to have information organized in certain way that works for me, but I don't know if that is the case with all the other people part of the creative world. How have been your experience working with them in that sense?
Yeah, very differently. I don't push them to do I don't force them to work with a certain methodology. It's not because it works for me that it works for them. I don't know if a lot of creativity have a lot of ADHD, or is it the opposite around, but I have a lot of clients who have difficulty in concentrating. So, and they also, for example, are very visual. So what we do is don't work with digital tools, but actually indeed work with a paper tool. So it really depends on what your flavor is and what really works. In coaching is the fact that we test a lot. We do research. I get to know the person. We test out for 1 month in a particular methodology that works or doesn't work. We evaluate, and then we adjust and adapt and optimize.
Yeah. Do you think with your experience, of course, that, for example, your brain can react differently when you have all this digital tool in front of you, but instead you as a creative person take a pen and paper and write down or draw something that change actually your way to generate new creations?
Yeah, but I'm really a sucker for digital tools because you always have it in your pocket as well. So, like I said, I won't force anybody to work in a certain way, but I'm always like, yeah, I'm a champion for digital tools because they're so well designed, and especially with AI, there's so much more potential in having a very well-defined, easy system.
Katrijn, now a situation related with AI that you just mentioned, and that is actually how AI is delivering a lot of tools that are helping creatives, but as we're removing a lot of duties that we as a creatives are doing, how do you see this situation is starting to benefit or affect the world of creatives right now?
It's affecting a lot. I see a lot of people, especially like illustrators, they are really, really doubting about their work and about the future. But I think we only at the starting of a whole new area, and I don't have any idea how it will evolve, but people are very doubting themselves. But I guess there is always work because AI doesn't have a soul. And I think people, especially like in arts, people want to see a movie with actors. They want to see a painting that is made by a human person and not with a machine.
Do you think that this is going to be actually the difference? Trying to don't bring just AI, but put in this human side that will make looks things more authentic, more not so perfect. I mean, perfection is going to be the point in which people are going to reject that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, but it's the same case as for now. If somebody puts a post on LinkedIn, you immediately can see if it's written by ChatGPT. So we actually are generating only AI content. It's not human anymore. But it's a different area. So if it is it good, is it bad? I don't know. I use it as well. Everybody uses it, but yeah, like I said, we're only at the starting point. I think it will have like a peak, and then it will be integrated in our lives. And this time, the beginning of 2020, like when it started, it will be, we will see it in a different perspective when in 10 years from now, I think.
Yeah, because of course your work as a coach and in this specific industry is empowering those creatives to become stronger, more confident, and more independent. What change do you hope to see in the creative industry if more people embrace their mindset towards knowing that AI existed? What would you think it will be the right thing to do?
I think like my bigger mission is to really disrupt this creative industry. I think, it still doesn't have a very positive stigma or a positive, how do you say it? Like people don't look very positively if you say that you're an artist or you're a painter or you choose to be a fashion designer. So my intention and my dream is to really show that it's very easy. It's not easy, but you can build a thriving and sustainable business and have enough money or earn enough money when you pursue a creative career.
Yeah, as an artist, because it's a little bit like a artist was saying, like, well, how are you going to make money from your art? This is not something that works.
Imagine that you have an 80-year-old son and he says on the breakfast table, like, yes, I choose to be a painter. I think a lot of parents really stress out because is it not better to choose a study that will give you a sustainable income?
What will be your advice for all those listeners that are now feeling identified? Well, I am an artist. I would love to make the best of that. And you are working with them. So what will be your advice for them right now?
I think they should see themselves also as a company. I don't want to be like the capitalistic commercial coach, but you have like your creative part in your business, but you also have to see the other side of your business really as a company. You have a marketing department, you have business development department, you have a sales department, administrative department. And if you see that, can really think of how to professionalize everything, how to take time and make time to work on that part of your company. And okay, creativity and making art will be the most important thing that you do, but don't forget to pay attention to the other part of what you need to do to be a thriving artist.
I am an artist as well, so I am receiving the advice. I'm receiving the advice, and I will, for example, bring all the things related with who you are, as an individual. What are the things or those things that are defining you, and whatever that is, if you really love that and is your passion, the business side will come by default. Probably, I don't know if I am in a bubble or I am thinking differently. You are the coach here. You can tell me. But my point is a little bit how the people that are still in this moment in life that they are really don't know where to go and what is the path to follow because they just wanted to do their art. Is something that is a moment that we are now in which we need to define that. So your advice is very good in that sense. And I have to say thank you, Katrijn, because this is something that we are not thinking that we need to be coached to become an artist or to manage our artistic career, because we are normally thinking, well, I can do it alone. I don't need to really find a mentor or a coach that help me with that. You are the proof. You are there to give in that support. And my last question, just to close this nice conversation, is an spontaneous question related with something that I am researching about. If you could define in one word, only one word, what could be the key of being a seed for a better world? What that word will be?
I can only use one word. I use freedom.
Freedom. Okay. That is welcome. Especially if you are part of the creative world, because with freedom, you can do many things. And when I'm
Yeah.
talking about the seed for a better world, is what are the things that we can be focused on deliver to really bring to do this better world. That is the purpose. That is what I am looking
Yeah.
with this question that
I
I'm
think,
starting.
yeah, because freedom is very close to my heart, I think, in the way that I manage my time, in the way that I travel the world with my company. It's also freedom, the way that I also inspire other people to think that they can choose the path that they want to have a fulfilling life. I think I do this for 6 years, and I think I already coach more than 100 people. And to see all these people growing and getting better at the business side, it's so special, and it's magic. So I think freedom would be everything that I want for them and for you as well.
Oh, thank you. That is amazing. I have been traveling as well a lot. It still costs me a little bit to coming back to the reality, let's say. But I think
I always have the same. I feel always like I'm an island, and all this information is coming, and all these people and the observations.
yeah.
But when you come back, you really always feel like a different person. So I really travel as well. I love to travel.
So let's encourage more people to travel and to have the freedom to be creative and be self-confidence in that the structure and the planning are things that are not going to remove their freedom and their capacity to create new things, because I am convinced that we really need to keep this creativity, and as you well said, the soul of the creativity that is probably what AI don't have and cannot add to the world. I don't know if you wanted to say something else, Katrijn, but for me, it has been an amazing conversation, and thank you very much.
Yeah, just for people that are listening, I think like the classic one is that you really have to believe in yourself, be very aware of your own thinking patterns, because most of the time your biggest competition. Don't compare yourself too much with other people. Stop doing that and really listen to your own internal voice, and just take it step by step. When I had that reset moment in my life, I saw that everything again is possible, because if you put your mind to it, you can do a lot.
That is a very wise advice. Thank you very much for sharing that. And I'm sure that people can start to practice that right away. So thank you, Katrijn, for being part of the Brilliantly Branded podcast.
Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
Your story is your brand, and your brand is a seed for a better world. Every conversation you heard today came from someone who showed up to share honestly and trusted that their experience could help someone else. That someone is probably you. Now it is your turn to pass it on. Please share this episode with one woman who needs it. Explore the playlist and find the conversation that is picked for her moment. Because the right story, shared at the right time, changes everything. And every time this community grows, it reaches farther than you can imagine. The proceeds from our brilliantly branded live events go directly to children's education through Seeds for a Better World, the association we founded so that impact never stops. So please explore the playlist, and if you know a voice that deserves to be heard here, please send them my way. Until the next episode, ciao ciao!